Self-acceptance will be your challenge. It's always our challenge. It's the one that we start to experience when we start living our lives, when we leave our home, our parents, or whatever, wherever we grew up and start living an adult life, or when we just go to school. We have to start learning self-acceptance, and it's always a challenge. It's always a process because we don't look like anyone else. We're unique. There's no one who's giving us the exact replica or example of who we're meant to be. So we have to figure it out. And that's when we come to self-acceptance. I know that every single person is born with value, worth, and to bring to the world, but it's that acceptance that they must come to. And it's challenging because it was really challenging for me. But I'm talking about it now because our world is moving through that right now, which is why I've been talking about all these things for the last several years. But we had a little different shift of energy in our collective world, and this is why I'm doing this video today. Um, Someone even made a post. They said, "Are we going to change, or do I need to change my perspective?" And I'm saying yes. We're going to all change. The world is going to change. It does all the time. But this is a different kind of change right now. It's a big one, which is why you've seen all the events happening. But when that message, when I saw that comment today, it happened to be on the same day that a message I posted on Any Advice for Today said self-acceptance takes time. And I'm going to show you this because I'm going to explain the dates on here too, because that might not have made sense to a lot of folks why I use when I'm writing my Wilhelm, why I'm using different dates, but I'll put all this in. And also, if this is your first time here, please subscribe to the channel and share it with others because I'm going to start putting out a lot more information because I want to give people as much hope and understanding as I can during this next year, because this is the challenge that we're going to move through, accepting who we are. And so this was the message today. And it said self-acceptance takes time. Now, that's what I wrote. And then it says, while it is not necessary for us, you use linear time to understand and fully accept your magnificence. That's all of us. And I'll talk about time a little bit more because linear time is a concept that some of us have difficulty with. However, escaping linear time, I should say, but you can see here, I use these different dates. My Wilhelm gives me dates for references because, see, we expand in our consciousness over time. Nobody gets there right away. We may think that happens, but it doesn't. And so on January 3rd of 2020, so we're talking 4 years ago, it was, you were not meant to be anyone else. And as you read the message, you will start to understand all of that because that is the process of self-acceptance. We have to accept our unique journey, our divine plan, our soul mission, as I think of it, because everyone has one. And when we do that, we can offer more to the world, and then we wouldn't see a world that looks the way that it does. And now, this came up, they led me back to another message that I received years before: stay in your lane. And as you can read this, I'll leave all of this in the description, but let me talk about that, why that came up. Because I will have experiences and then I will receive information that brings me a little more awareness. And what happened, I went to see a show. My entire life before was being a vocal coach, a performance coach, and all of that. And in that career, I know I've left my mark on this world because so many of my clients have gone on to create magnificent careers, and their work is going to be here forever. And that's the thing I love seeing. But this particular night, I went to see a show of a client, and I noticed that she did 2 songs that really stood out for me. And the reason they stood out is because she was being who she was. First time that I'd seen that. And so I had to tell her. And the reason that I said, you were in your lane then. We all have a lane. And when we find that, that's when we come alive. Now, I've seen this throughout my life because many years ago, I created a program called The Complete Artist. Because what I noticed is that people had difficulty getting up on stage and performing because they hadn't connected to who they were. They couldn't be their authentic selves. And I have so many stories about that. It was funny. I was watching The Masked Singer because one of my clients, Macy Gray, was on there. I go, that's the most unique person ever. And that took a while for her to get there and for that to be accepted because people didn't want her to be unique. and then she worked through that. So this is where we all are now, is coming to that place of accepting who we are. So that's why I posted that. But I'm going to show you something else about time and talking about why these things are happening. But first of all, it is what is happening in your life now, because you are moving somewhere. We all are. Everything is changing. We change in our consciousness, and our society changes in consciousness as well. But that can only happen if each of us do that. We are the ones who need to perform that task. But I'm going to show you something else, because I started talking about the United States like 4 years ago, that we were going to go through a lot of changes, and it was challenging for people to understand that. But there's one message I want to show you that will kind of give you a little bit of sense of what this is. We all change in our consciousness, and sometimes that can be really difficult to understand. And it was really challenging for me, because I receive information before it's actually shown up in the world, and then accepting that and giving it to others was difficult. But now that's no longer the case, because I know where we're going, and we can all do so much more and leave our world better than what we're witnessing now. And this is that message that came through the first time I started hearing, wait a minute, something's going to happen in the United States. And I can show you more scientific evidence of that too. But this was the message: you were afraid to love. Today, this message took a while to be received by Roger, because he was fighting with us. Many of you may do the same. Roger was convinced there were exceptions to what we are about to say, but you will find it challenging to locate them. First of all, we are speaking to each person individually and your world collectively, primarily due to the current world conditions and the events in the United States. We have given you several messages on this subject, but we will summarize here. Love is the most powerful force that exists. It is powerful because it does not restrict its energy. It does not limit its energy, and continues to expand, because love is the absence of all judgment. If each of you come to understand and accept this concept, you and your world will evolve exponentially. The next thing to understand is you are all born benevolent beings, and when you stray from that understanding, you have conflicts because you have chosen not to be loving. You may get the sense this message will require study, but it will be well worth it. If love is the most powerful energy and you are not feeling powerful, you have been afraid to love yourself. If you think others have more than you have been afraid to love yourself. If you think others, if you think others have more than you have been afraid to love yourself. When you judge your life or experiences as bad, you believe yourself to be bad, so there is no love experience. There is so much to give you, but we will leave you with this. Every experience you have in your life, whether or not you label them to be good, bad, right, or wrong, all have the same purpose, which is to cause you to love yourself, and in turn, all others, as you are all one. You and your world are coming to understand this. Now, when I first received that message, I knew people probably would say, that doesn't even make any sense. And what is he talking about? What's happening in the United States? Now we're seeing it. We're seeing everything coming up. Now, I had to go and find some other proof, some other understanding, because I wanted you to get what's happening in the world and what I've been talking about. Now, I didn't know why I was receiving this information about through the United States, but now a wonderful thing happened. We have AI. I could go back and do research. I've seen many other people talking about Pluto Return. I didn't understand any of that. I was just receiving the information and witnessing what was happening, and also understanding that if more people were happy, if they were loving themselves, if they were understanding their importance in this world, things would change. But let me show you this one, because it was, if you haven't, I use Bard, I don't know, the Google Bard AI, because really we have to use things that are coming about now, because what it's doing is giving me information a lot quicker. We're all doing that, and that's where the world is going. And I did a session where I channeled a little bit about that. But I just want you to see what came up. Okay, I won't give you all of this. You can go and find it yourself. It's just fun. I just go in and do a search, and just ask questions and see what comes up. And it was this. So I asked about the Pluto return, and it said about the results of in astrology, a Pluto return marks a significant turning point, often characterized by upheavals, transformation, and rebirth. It occurs when Pluto, the planet associated with power, transformation, and the underworld, returns to the exact position it occupied in the zodiac at the time of a person's or entity's birth. And here are some results. So just you can look at all of these and you can see them all happening. Um, Destruction and rebirth. Outdated structures, beliefs, and systems are challenged and often dismantled. Hidden truth are revealed, and that's what's going on here, forcing a reckoning with shadow aspects. Intense experiences lead to profound transformation and personal growth. Power struggles and control. Wow, okay, we've seen a lot of that. Issues of power, control, and manipulation come to the forefront. Now, it goes on. You can go and look at so much more of it because we're seeing them all now. And then when you go back historically, Pluto returns have been associated with fall of empires and all of that. But then the most important one to come to, I had to get to why the United States. And here it is. The United States is currently undergoing its first Pluto return, which began in February 2022, and then will last until November 2024. It remains to be seen how this transit will fully unfold, but it is likely to be a time of significant change and transformation for the country. Exactly what I've been saying. If we, a lot of people won't understand or think about astrology or science or astronomy or any of those things, but you get to this place where you understand everything is energy. We are affected by all the energies of our planets, the galaxies, and all of that. And so we just decide how we're going to work with it. And the reason I said, why the United States? It's because when it was formed, 1776, think about this, and then add 248 years, because that's how long it takes for Pluto to change. We get 2024. Yeah, so we're going to have a big change, but we decide how that turns out. And we decide that how much we decide to love ourselves, how much we're willing to let go of the old. What is happening now is, as I've said, is a restructuring, meaning we got to let go of old ideas and beliefs, and mainly they are about us. The only place that we struggle, and that's the challenge, because if you look up the word challenge, it says it's like, competition. The only place we're competing is with ourselves. We compete with our brains. How much are we going to love ourselves? How much are we going to believe in who we are? How much are we going to become empowered? And it is this process. Now, you think, well, how do I come to this? We all come to things in a very different way. But there's one photo I want to show you, and I'll just be really kind of candid about this. I'm going to show you this one, which is quite fun. I'll show you this. Those are my writings. I've shown this before, but let me explain. I stopped that in 2020 though, because I couldn't do it anymore because what happened was I started running out of space and I couldn't read my handwriting anymore. I was really good at cursive handwriting when I was younger. That's changed now. But then I also didn't need it anymore because I've been doing it for so long. What that is, in 1988, when I sat down and started to do automatic writing, I did it every single day. I didn't know why I was saving them all. I didn't know why I was guided to do that, but that's exactly what I did. And I didn't know what it was going to turn into. It turned into a philosophy, it turned into a program, it turned into something that can help everyone achieve the success they're supposed to have and actually cause our world to evolve. We can all do that if we believe that we can. And as I was meeting with someone yesterday, I'm going to talk about this a little bit. I was meeting with my friend. He's a Jewish guy, and we were talking about everything going on in the world. And he was really angry about what was happening there. And I said, I understand, and I do understand. Because see, I've gone through all of those things, those differences of race and gender and sexuality. I've been through all of that. At 73, yeah, I've seen a lot. I've lived it all. And that's how I grew up. So it gives me a little different perspective of what's happening in our world now. But when we don't let go of those old ancient grievances within us, we can't expect to see anything different in our world. And that's what you're seeing now. All the wars that are happening are people who are trying to hold on to what was old instead of accepting what is new. So you get to decide if you're going to accept what's new, and that newness comes through you. I have never met any person who wasn't born to offer something to the world. What I have seen is people who don't want to uncover that and figure out what it is because we judge ourselves, because we think that we're not enough. And I can say this because I couldn't tell anyone about this work I was doing for more than 20 years. And then it was exposed. We have to be pulled out of our shells sometimes to bring that forth. But I can no longer do that because I know where we're going. And also, the people in my program now have proven to me how valuable this work is and how it can make a difference in the world. I've seen them start to develop things that I never expected, starting to do things like channeling and automatic writing and Akashic records readings. And they're just doing all these things that I never would have expected. Because in 2021, when I knew that this work, that I had this and it could make a difference, and I saw what was happening in the world, bel belief was really challenging. And so I had to look up all these other folks who had this difficulty. Eckhart Tolle was one of them. And he gave me so much courage because I remember listening to him saying in the beginning, he had like 6 people listening to some of his talks. You see where he is now. I don't have very many people listening to my videos. I know that. And that was where I was hiding. And so that's changing though now because I'm going to be hired other people to like take it a much bigger, but I needed to be sure first. But when I woke up today and saw and felt this energetic change in the world, I said, okay, I've got to talk about it a little bit more because I didn't want people to be afraid. I want you to understand what's happening. We're going through an evolutionary change. And what happens is you get to affect that change by how happy you decide to become, how much you decide to move through all of your doubt, all your fear, all your old stuff, because we all have it. I have more than anyone. So I do understand it. But see, that's what we're meant to do, because when we can come to a clarity or awareness and heal something within us, we can give it to others. And it's too long to go through here, and I'm not going to do that. But if you read my book, Overcoming Fear, you might see some of it. But I'm also going to do the next one, which is called Your Life Operating Instructions. And I'm trying to figure out the tagline to that. I'm going to get some more because it is about how you can live this great, successful, prosperous, happy life and heal everything. Because I know that's possible. And when you hear a lot more of my story, all the things that I have been able to heal physically, because that's all mind body connection as well. But now what I have is a whole bunch of other people who can help me do this. I have some really great staff. I have really great people now who can bring this work forward, and that's what I'm going to do. But I wanted to give you this to understand what is happening and what you can achieve. And then next week, I'm also doing a channeling session because more is going to come through. We have a new moon, and that's going to be the time where you will start to understand and be able to own more of your life purpose, because you have it. And once you start doing that, we start to see changes in our world. Right after that, I'm also doing a talk on talk radio. I'm doing an interview on that because I'm just about getting this information out, because we have a little bit too much hate, and the hate comes from us not loving who we are. That's all that it is ever. But this is a huge change happening in the world, which is why it's uncomfortable and why the United States is going a little crazy, and you're going to see it. And the reason it goes through November, because we have an election that's going to change so much, because we're going to have to come to truth about ourselves. Now, if we're going to take anger and hatred and all that we can't take it into the new world. That's what's happening. And so we're going to individually decide, are we going to let go of it within ourselves and decide to love who we are and do what we came to the world to do? Because see, that's everyone. Everyone has something within them that gets developed over time to bring to the world. I saw Tony Robbins yesterday. He sent a thing on Instagram and then led me to his LinkedIn, and he did the same thing. He laying out all these points about how to thrive in 2024. He says we're in uncharted territory. We all are. We all know that. And I've been saying forever, unprecedented things are occurring. And we've seen it all, but the way we change it is by loving who we are. When I was speaking to my friend last night, I say, he's a Jewish guy, and we were talking about all of this. He was very upset about everything that was going on there. And I said, I understand. And I do understand, because I've been working on this for so long, and I've lived all of it. I lived in Jewish communities when I was a kid. I lived in all kinds of mixtures. I lived with Muslims. I've done all of that. So I do get it. But the thing is, we have to let go of the old stuff, whatever grievances we've had within ourselves, so that we can accept something new. And to show you why I did something many years ago, we are seeing it in the world now. Again, I get guided to do things because I want people to understand. But there was one article that you might have seen, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit now. You might think of this as my personal shadow work, but I'll share it with you because I wrote this in 2016, and it was this. Yeah, when was the date? It was, yeah, July 17th, 2016. I might be a racist with some misogynistic tendency. I said I might be slightly racist, but anyway, this was the revelation. I had to acknowledge I'm a black man, and you would think, why am I writing this? Why am I talking about it? Now, this article is on my website, rogerburnley.com. You can go there. I'll leave a link too. But if you look at articles, you will find it and you can read the entire thing. But see, I knew where we would be now because we're dealing with race. We're going to see, are we going to allow all people to be equal? Are we going to accept immigrants? Are we going to allow women? That's why I was talking about misogyny, because and when are we going to allow women to be who they're meant to become? That's all of us. And it's an energetic shift. But you can find that, and I'll leave the link for that as well. But I'm talking about this because I want you to understand we're going to see more changes. But you can do something really wonderful, and that is to decide to love who you are. Get busy working through all of your stuff because we all have it. There's no person alive who doesn't have these old limiting ideas and restrictions that exist within them because they're generational. We've all come with them, but now's the time to move through that. And so please subscribe to this channel if you haven't done that. Share it with others. I don't talk about that quite enough, but I'm doing a channeling session next week and then also a interview on talk radio immediately after the channeling session because my mission is to bring this work to as many people as possible because I am seeing the results of that. I cannot tell you how rewarding it is to see the lives that are changing because of this work that I doubted because I couldn't accept myself. That's what we do. We create something, we doubt it all, but that became okay as well. I got a lot of proof of other people who have moved through that kind of thing, especially when you create something new. And I've been holding off on this a bit because I needed to produce something to send to someone who wants me on their site, talking about my channeling and all of that. I said, wait a minute, I've got to really be sure that I'm telling the complete story. And the complete story is this. We are moving through this energetic change in this world. And because of the life that I've lived, I happened to download this information at a specific time which for me was 2012, but it's been many, many years. But the specific information was talking about this evolutionary change that we're moving through, which I call a spiritual evolution, because that's when we awaken to understand our importance and the importance of all others. That's what we're doing. So I hope you come to the session, and I'll post all of these things later. And the interview, I will probably have links for that because I want everyone to hear it. And I just want you to know that what's going on in the world now is happening because you are here to do something great. I've said this for years because I know it's true for everyone. We just got to work through our restrictions. But you're here to do something. You're here to thrive. You're here to prosper. And all of that happens when you start to accept yourself. That's all that it ever is. All right. See you soon.